Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's morning meditation. If you have your Bibles and you want to look at them, or we also have the verses up on the screen, we are in the book of Habakkuk and in chapter 2. And here we come across a verse which had a great impact on one of the New Testament writers. As we read it, see if you can remember who it is and where you've seen it before in the New Testament. So, Habakkuk 2, verse 4, Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Does that verse sound familiar to you? It should, because we come across it actually 3 times in the New Testament. And it's in the book of Romans, the book of Galatians, and the book of Hebrews. Romans and Galatians written by Paul, and many people believe that the book of Hebrews was also written by Paul. And if so, he uses this one verse 3 times in speaking about how we should conduct ourselves in the New Testament and the implications that this verse has on how we are saved and what we look forward to. So let's look at each one of these verses, because I think you'll find it fascinating how much truth comes out of just this one verse. In Romans, in the first chapter, Paul says, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to every one that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. He's saying that it's the gospel, that it's understanding what Jesus did, that good news, that brings salvation. And he brings that point home in verse 17, for therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it's written, the just shall live by faith. And here he's focusing on the first couple words here about the just. How is a person justified? He's justified by believing the gospel of Jesus Christ, that through the death and substitutionary sacrifice of Jesus, one is made right with God. In Galatians chapter 3, he speaks in verse 10, for as many as are the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, Cursed is every one that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of God is evident, for the just shall live by faith. Here in Galatians, the focus is on the second 2 words, shall live. He's saying now the works of the law actually present a curse to us, because in the Bible it says, Cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things that are written in the book. Not that the law is bad, but the law says you must do all of these things perfectly. And if you can't do them perfectly, then you are cursed. You are under the judgment of God. And Paul makes the point, therefore nobody can be justified by the law in the sight of God. Rather, everybody's found guilty in the sight of God before the law, or by the law. He says, so if you want to live, our life is now lived in faith. Faith in what? Faith in Jesus Christ, who did the work for us. So the gospel of Jesus Christ provided our righteousness by looking to Jesus Christ. We live then in that same righteousness, not under the law trying to please God, but doing it by faith. And then in book of Hebrews, we see the last 2 words of that verse drawn out or exemplified. He says in verse 35 of Hebrews chapter 10, Cast not away therefore your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of God, you might receive the promise. For yet a little while, and he that shall come, and will not tarry. Now the just shall live by faith. But if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. For we are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul. He says, now the just shall live by faith. So we see in this same verse, the first 2 words about being justified through the gospel of Jesus Christ, living not by the law to please God. Then the last one, maintaining in faith until we receive the promise. That our life is not just lived in faith, but we need to go through all of life in faith until we receive the promise of God. Faith even through death. Because we need patience and we need to wait to receive the promise. And he gives us that wonderful verse, he that shall come will come. That God who promised will also fulfill those promises. So if we go all the way back to Habakkuk, we see that this verse, the just shall live by faith, motivated Paul in Romans and Galatians and the writer of Hebrews to give to us in the New Testament such important lessons that we cannot be saved by the works of the law, but rather we are made righteous through the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that faith, and in that faith we stand until the promise that God has made to us is sight. Have a great day, guys. Bye.